I should have known trouble was coming the moment I moved into Maple Ridge. The lawns were too neat, the mailboxes too uniform, and the HOA president, Karen Witherspoon, had that signature short blonde bob and a clipboard that never left her side. Around here, she wasn't just a neighbor. She was judge, jury, and self-declared sheriff. Last Tuesday, she strutted down the street in her pastel tracksuit, saw my dog sniffing her precious rose bushes, and without a word, kicked him. Big mistake. Because what Karen didn't know was that my dog, Buster, isn't just a beagle with a nose for flowers. He's a trained undercover agent with a federal badge and a mission. And thanks to her arrogant little outburst, the whole operation just went hot. Karen froze when Buster let out a sharp bark, not one of pain, but of activation. His collar lit up in a soft blue glow, and a barely audible click echoed from the microchip embedded just beneath his left shoulder. I didn't even have time to say, "Oh no," before his training kicked in. He rolled back, spun around, and stared straight into her eyes. That's when she took a step back. First time I've seen her retreat since she yelled at the mailman for delivering a package 2 inches onto her property. Is that normal?" she stammered. I shrugged. "Only when you kick a federal operative." She blinked. "He's a what now?" Before I could answer, Buster had already sent a silent distress signal to HQ. Within 30 seconds, a black SUV rolled up with tinted windows and diplomatic plates. Out came Agent Ramirez, chewing gum like he owned the zip code. He gave Karen a long look. "Ma'am, we're going to need you to step back from the canine." Karen crossed her arms. "I am the president of this HOA. I demand to know." Ramirez flashed a badge. "Homeland Security. Your HOA just interfered with an ongoing covert surveillance op." Karen's face turned 3 shades whiter. "With a dog?" "Yes, ma'am. And not just any dog." He knelt beside Buster. "Agent Bravo 29. Status report." Buster barked twice and pawed the ground. Ramirez nodded. "Confirmed. The package is compromised. Mission's blown." I held back a smirk. Karen, meanwhile, looked like she'd swallowed a lemon whole. And that's when the other neighbors started coming out, phones in hand, filming the whole thing. Suddenly, Maple Ridge's Queen Bee wasn't so untouchable anymore. As Ramirez stood up, taking out a small tablet, Karen's face was still frozen in shock. The whole neighborhood had gathered now, their curiosity piqued by the SUV and the sudden appearance of a real agent. I could feel my phone buzzing in my pocket as neighbors shot texts and videos, probably preparing to share the spectacle with every social media platform they could think of. Ramirez tapped away on his tablet, his face going from serious to more serious. "We've got a problem. The package you intercepted." He looked at Karen with a grimace. "Contains classified intel. Your little stunt just exposed a covert operation we've been running for months." Karen opened her mouth to argue, but Ramirez wasn't having it. "You might want to keep quiet for now, ma'am. Federal property is involved." He turned to me with a raised eyebrow. "You didn't exactly give us a heads up, did you?" I shrugged. I wasn't expecting HOA Karen to go rogue on me. I figured Buster could handle any small-time security concerns. Buster trotted around, wagging his tail nonchalantly, like he was the one in charge here. Ramirez rolled his eyes. "I've got a few calls to make, but this might just get interesting." Your HOA just became the center of a much bigger operation. Karen's eyes darted back and forth, processing the information with a mix of confusion and panic. What do you mean bigger operation? You're telling me I interfered with something top secret? That's exactly what I'm saying, Ramirez said. But I wouldn't worry too much. It's not just your HOA that's in trouble. The real question is whether your neighbors have been involved all along. At that moment, Mrs. Carson, the woman who lived 2 doors down and was known for her overly attentive gardening habits, leaned in from behind the crowd. Wait, what are you saying? I water my roses every day, not spy on them. Ramirez ignored her and kept his gaze fixed on Karen. You may have some company in this mess. We're tracing every connection, and I'm betting some of these so-called neighborhood watch types might have more than just lawns to look after. The crowd gasped. Several neighbors turned to each other in wide-eyed suspicion, and I could almost hear the gossip spreading in real time. I stepped forward, feeling the need to finish this. Listen, this isn't just about a dog getting kicked. We've got bigger fish to fry, and a very unpredictable situation unfolding right now. So, Karen, I suggest you keep your presidential role out of this and let us do our thing. Karen, now looking both flustered and embarrassed, sputtered for a moment before speaking through gritted teeth. Fine, but I'm not going down for this. I run this neighborhood. I will call my lawyer. Feel free, Ramirez replied coolly. We'll be in touch. And I wouldn't recommend leaving town anytime soon. Just then, Buster let out a soft woof, as if reminding us that the mission was still a go. Karen stood there, still fuming, but I could see the wheels turning in her head. It was clear she didn't expect the kind of attention her HOA antics had attracted, and her once immaculate sense of control was slipping away. As Ramirez and I turned to leave, Buster gave a single sharp bark that echoed through the silent crowd. Wait, Karen called out, her voice trembling. What about the package? You're telling me I was just in the way? I turned back with a grin. Not exactly. You were the distraction. The package was never the real problem. It was what you were distracting us from. Ramirez's expression didn't change. The real mission, Karen, is the entire neighborhood. You and your HOA have been a cover for something much bigger than you could have ever imagined. The crowd started murmuring, their whispers growing louder. Mrs. Carson's hand shot up. You mean we were all involved? Ramirez leaned in, giving Karen a final, deadly serious look. The HOA wasn't the only thing being monitored, Karen. For months, we've been tracking certain individuals in this neighborhood with connections to some serious national security threats. You were the easiest target, but as it turns out, we've been sitting on a sleeping agent network right under our noses. At that moment, the neighbors froze in shock, realizing that every lawn, every conversation, every seemingly innocent complaint about a hedge had been a part of something far darker. The backyard barbecues, the PDA meetings, all of it a mask for covert operations. Ramirez stood up, his tone shifting to business. We'll need all of you to cooperate. Karen, for what it's worth, you can't claim innocence anymore. But we'll make sure the investigation plays out fairly. I caught Karen's eye as she tried to regain some composure, but there was no pretending now. The quiet suburban life she'd built around power trips and neighborhood rules had just crumbled. Don't worry, I said, giving her a smile. You won't be running the HOA for long. Maybe they'll put Buster in charge next time." Ramirez gave a brief chuckle as he walked away, Buster wagging his tail proudly beside him. I followed, watching as Karen was left to face the fallout of her arrogance. As we got into the SUV and drove off, I couldn't help but glance back at Maple Ridge. The once perfect neighborhood now felt like the set of a crime drama, only it was real and it was far from over. "Do you think she'll ever learn?" I asked Ramirez. He sighed. "Maybe, but this is the kind of thing that'll haunt her for the rest of her life." And with that, we left behind a neighborhood that would never be the same. But one thing was certain: Buster would always be the most unexpected agent in the room.